Selamat datang and welcome to Ad America. Good afternoon, everyone, to our in-person audience and our virtual audience. I'm Rachel Cook, the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy here in Jakarta, and I am so happy that we're having in-person events as well as hybrid virtual events again here at Ad America. So thank you all so much for coming. It's always wonderful to talk with students who are interested in studying in the United States. And today I am really honored to share the stage with Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs, Rena Bitter. Prior to assuming her current role, Assistant Secretary Bitter served as the U.S. Ambassador to the Lao People's Democratic Republic, Special Assistant to Secretary of State Colin Powell, and Director of the State Department Operations Center. She also served in Ho Chi Minh City, Amman, London, Bogota, and Mexico City. That's a pretty good swath of the world there. That's fantastic. Also joining us today is Santika Salam, one of our 7 talented Education USA advisors here in Indonesia, and Dr. Nadira Afifa, a Harvard graduate and recipient of Indonesia's prestigious LPDP scholarship. I want to thank you all for your time. Really looking forward to this conversation today. For everyone in the audience, both in person and virtual, we'll ask you to hold any questions you might have till the end, and any questions that are specific to visa issues, I'll ask you to wait until the program's over, and we have other people here to help answer those questions for you. If you're joining us virtually and you have specific visa questions, you can put them in the chat and someone will be able to answer those questions for you. All of our speakers will take turns giving remarks, and then we'll enjoy hearing your questions. And I'd like to start off with you, Assistant Secretary Bitter.
You guys can hear me? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rachel. Thanks to everybody for being here. It's such a pleasure to see people in person, but also to know that we're still able to use all of the technologies that we have been perfecting throughout the pandemic to include folks from all over Indonesia. This is my first trip to Indonesia, and it is such a beautiful country. I'm so thrilled to be here and so excited about all of the wonderful things that are happening in the bilateral relationship here. As Rachel said, I've served in ASEAN countries before, and Indonesia is such a leader in ASEAN. It is really an honor for me to be here and to learn more about this, the culture here and the bilateral relationship. But more importantly, I'm thrilled to be here to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is study in the United States. So my job is as Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs. The thing that I do is I oversee all of the public services in embassies and consulates throughout the world. And a big part of that is visa services, and most importantly, student visas. Our goal is to promote tourism to the United States and to do everything that we can do to deepen people-to-people ties between our two countries. And I know that, again, the bilateral ties between the United States and Indonesia are really, really growing. So a big part of what we do in terms of deepening people-to-people ties is student visas and promoting international education exchange. Because the more that we know each other, the more that we study in each other's schools, the more that we travel to see each other, the better we are as bilateral partners and also as global partners to tackle the problems that are facing the world today. I'll say a little bit about U.S. educational institutions, and I'm going to sound like a terrible partisan, but in my opinion, U.S. educational institutions are absolutely the finest in the world. Like Indonesia, the United States is a really diverse country, and I think that is one of the things that makes our educational institutions really strong. We value rich and robust academic debate. And because we are such a diverse country, we also really value the voices and unique perspectives of international students in our educational institutions. We think it makes us much stronger. So in addition to getting an excellent education when you study in the United States, we feel like your study in the United States also makes us stronger. And your unique viewpoints, your voices, and your perspectives makes for a richer educational experience for everyone who studies in the United States. I want to emphasize just one or two other things before I turn it over, well, back to Rachel and then over to my colleagues, who I personally am dying to hear from also. The United States, throughout the pandemic, has been open and encouraging of international students coming to the United States. And as I said, one of our highest priorities throughout these last couple of years has been to ensure that students have an opportunity to study in the United States and to promote, to be able to prioritize student visas, not just in Indonesia, but throughout the world. And we have done, I don't think it's an overstatement to say, everything that we can do and a phenomenal job to ensure that international exchanges, particularly for students, can proceed even in the face of a global pandemic. So I really encourage all of you who are thinking about studying in the United States to contact one of your 7 EducationUSA advisors throughout Indonesia and explore your opportunities to do so. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your interest in coming to the United States and in studying there. And I look forward to hearing from my colleagues and also your questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Absolutely. I know that here in Indonesia, every single student who was interested in applying for a visa to go to the United States to study was able to be seen for their visa interview in time to get to class on time, which was amazing in the middle of a pandemic. So we prioritized it for sure. Now we have Sandika talking with us. She's one of our EducationUSA advisors, and I'm looking forward to hearing about all the EducationUSA resources that the Indonesian students have available to them.
Right. Thank you so much, Rachel and Assistant Secretary Bitter, for having us today in such a special event this afternoon. I usually have events on evening, and I'm just worried that I slept. So, yes. So, welcome to Indonesia, Assistant Secretary Bitter. I hope you will enjoy your time here. And we have Nadia here, so we will talk more, if necessary, on her experience, which will be very interesting. So, okay. My name is Santika. I am one of the advisor in EducationUSA Indonesia, and specifically based in America here. If you were outside, you can see the corner, right? If you are my advisees, some of you are already, and most of you will be soon, hopefully. So yes, you can see the corner, and I'm happy to announce that we are the U.S. Department of State network of over 400 international student advising center in the world. So you can find us actually anywhere. But in Indonesia, we have 6 centers, total of 7 advisors. We have 2 in Jakarta, 1 here and 1 in the US Embassy with Mas Iqbal. He's also here today. And I'm here with Christina, and we have 1 in Surabaya, 1 in Malang, 1 in Makassar, and 1 in Banda Aceh. So anywhere you are in Indonesia, feel free to reach out to us. If you are watching us online, my colleagues are in the chat box or will be in the comment section. Feel free to shoot them questions, okay? We will do our best to answer any questions today, but if not, you are very welcome to meet us in the advising session. We are doing everything online since the pandemic, but hopefully we will be able to do this more often and eventually open for in-person advising again, right? So what do we do? Okay, we provide free guidance, like literally free of charge, everything. Free guidance and information to everyone who's interested and planning your study to the United States. So wherever you are in your planning, feel free to come to us. Even if you're just, interested and still confused, still comparing with other countries, right? come to us, let me and let my colleagues convince you that US is, like I want to echo Assistant Secretary Bitter said, it's the best education that you can get in this world, okay? So we do advising sessions online since the pandemic, and like I said, hopefully soon in person. I have told you the centers and how to make appointment. Very simple, you just need to go to calendly.com/educationusa Indonesia. So you can find all of the advisors there. Just choose one, choose an appointment, and we will see you there, okay? All right, so I will move to, I think that's it for me, right? We will talk more later after this event if you have more questions on planning your studies, but we will be very happy to discuss more about studying in the States today. All right.
Thank you very much, Sandika. So among the resources you provide are conversations about things like how to apply, how to write your application essay, how to apply for scholarships, how to select a university that's the right fit for you. For example, do you want to be somewhere cold and snowy, or do you not want to be somewhere cold and snowy?
Exactly.
Do you want to be in a city? Do you maybe not want to be in a city? All of those things are topics of discussion that the Education USA advisors provide, right?
Yes. So we are very case by case, I would say case by case, and very tailored. So, for example, one student said, I want to take this program. And then another student said she wants to take another program, right? So everybody is different. And that is why we are doing one-on-one advising session, right? We tailor what you need, the best interest that you have in mind. And we are not going to push you to a certain direction that we think is best for you. We will give you the question, what are you looking for? And then we will guide you towards what you're looking for. And we basically have 5 steps. From the first one is like researching your options. Second one, we can talk about how you want to finance your studies. The third one is the most popular one, completing your US university's application. So this is when you can come in for review your essay, any questions on the application requirements and all of that things, okay? The complicated stuff. Come to us, ask us questions. If we usually will direct you to the right path to find your answers. And once you got accepted, just like, some of my advices here today, congratulations. You will be applying for your student visa, and you don't have to worry about a thing because, like what Assistant Secretary Bitter said, they are doing their best to provide everyone with the visa that they need. And Indonesia have a very high acceptance rate on their student visa. So we provide you with the step-by-step, and you can proceed accordingly and get your visa on time. And the last one will be pre-departure orientation, but that's for a later date. You will receive an invitation eventually, all right?
Thank you very much, Santika. Assistant Secretary, have you ever experienced Education USA and worked with them?
I'm so glad you asked, Rachel, because I was just about to say, Santika reminded me of all of the wonderful things that Education USA does for students who are interested in studying in the United States. I'm going to get this wrong, so I know that Sandika is going to correct me. It's a little overwhelming applying to schools in the United States. I think there are like 47,000 educational institutions in the United States. So that first conversation about what are you interested in, as Rachel was saying, I am interested in studying the trombone and I do not want to be where it's cold. Like all of a sudden that for someone like Sandika, she will say, oh, okay, here's a list of schools you might want to think about. So it really makes something that sounds incredibly overwhelming to start with much more manageable because you have a partner throughout the process who is knowledgeable and also who is completely on your team. And it's 100% free of charge. So it's a tremendous, tremendous resource and just makes the whole process of applying just a much less intimidating experience. So I really, really feel like Education USA is such an incredible partner. And I'm so happy you have such a great team here in Indonesia, Rachel.
We're certainly
Thank you.
lucky. And now I'd like to turn to Nadira. And you studied in the United States as an exchange student, so we'd love to hear about your experience.
Sure. Thank you, Rachel. And also good afternoon to Mrs. Assistant Secretary Bitter and also Ms. Santika and to all of you here. It's a privilege for me to share my studying experience in the US to all of you. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Nadira Afifa. I'm actually a medical doctor, but in 2019, I pursued Master of Public Health in Harvard University and graduated on 2020. So I think I'm gonna share about my experience in the U.S. and what I highlighted the most is that I think studying in the U.S. was one of the most remarkable and also life-changing experience for me. This is not just a talk because I think I was a much different person than I was 3 years ago. I'm a much different person now, and it changed me a lot person-wise, career-wise. What I highlighted the most is that first one, I think I echo what Mrs. Bitter said, that U.S. really valued diversity. When I get accepted into Harvard, they really thought about the composition of the students, like the composition of the U.S. citizens and the non-U.S. citizens, the different races, different regions, occupational backgrounds. So when I studied there in Harvard, aside from learning from the top-notch professors and the great syllabus and also the great Harvard itself, but I also learned from the different point of views of all the colleagues in my class, because how they solve the health problems in their country and how they see this problem, and it really opened my knowledge again, what I studied maybe not always right. So I really valued the diversity in the class, and also I think what I like the most is also the system of the class. They have the student-centered learning. So back then when I was studying in Indonesia, I think it's more like the center is always the teacher. We as the students can come to the class unprepared and just listen from the teachers explaining A to Z. But when in Harvard, I think we must come prepared. We have to read some papers before the class. And also, it's more like a discussion-based class. So the teacher is just the facilitator, and we are encouraged to speak up our thoughts and give opinions, questions, debate, agree, disagree. So I think it's building me to be a more critical thinker, and also it encouraged me to learn more about how to articulate my thoughts and to not overthink about what people might respond to my opinions, because there's no right and wrong in each opinion. So yeah, I think it encouraged me to be more active in the discussion, and it has changed me into a lot more confident person back here when I'm in Indonesia already. And I think the third one, of course, we cannot compare Indonesia and the US because US is obviously a developed country and Indonesia is still developing. But I really salute on how I think US has the abundance funding to educational institution. In Harvard, I actually have a lot of experience going to Africa, for example, to Tanzania for a month, fully funded from Harvard, and go to other countries. So actually, we can just apply to any prestigious internship or conference anywhere in the world without having to worry about the money, because Harvard will always fund our activity. So I think it's also the good way to encourage the students to compete in global levels, because we don't have to worry about the funding. Just get accepted to whatever prestigious internship that you want to be in. And yeah, I think the last one, of course, the great activities, facilities, the top-notch professors, and a lot of events inviting renowned speakers. I've talked to executive director of FBI, president of many countries, and executive director of WHO. So it's a very good experience, a very great experience that I might not get if I didn't get into U.S. universities. So yeah, I think it's a really great experience, life-changing experience, like I've said before. And I really hope that there will be a lot more Indonesian students that can get accepted to the U.S. Top schools in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadira. we had quite a few exchange students when I went to university as well from all over the world. And as an American student, I found it wonderful to have the opportunity to interact with them, to be in study groups together with them, to kind of learn about their lives and their perspectives in a way that I never would have had the opportunity to otherwise. What about you, Assistant Secretary Bitter?
I totally agree. And it's really exciting to hear about your experiences. And I think for me, when I hear you talk and I hear about your experiences at Harvard, I think to myself, oh my God, I will never be able to do that. So I do want to emphasize there are 47,000 academic institutions. Harvard is just one of them. And there's really something for everyone. But I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
What I always find it really interesting to ask international students what surprised them the most about their experience in the United States, about what the differences between U.S. education and Indonesian, or even just what was different and surprising about living in the United States.
So I think this might be a sensitive topic, but before before going to the U.S., I thought like I'm wearing hijab, and like there's a lot of news around Islamophobia, and I thought, well, I'm going to the U.S. I don't know how people respond to Muslims, and also people there, they don't really want to disclose what religion they have and so on. But by just wearing hijab, of course, they know that I'm a Muslim, right? So back then, I pray in the emergency stairs usually because I don't know whether U.S. will have musalla or like mosque. But back then, one of my Jewish friend accompanied me to the praying room, and he explained about everything. Like U.S. is actually very open to diversity, and like you can just be friend with anyone, and you don't have to be afraid about Muslim and everything. And I think that's also because Boston is the city of these students. They are used to meet so many people from different races, so that's why they are very open to diversity. But when I go to other states, I think they are also very welcome to me, and in a way they are sometimes way nicer than people in Indonesia. So I think so it really surprised me, and they talk a lot to the strangers, just what kind of weather today and like something like that. So I think I'm just very surprised by how nice American people is.
I'm sorry, like my heart is full. That makes me so happy because Americans really are nice and friendly. And at least in my experience, and whenever I talk to international students, they say that exact same thing. And they can recount experiences of Americans being kind to them. But in particular, I think Americans are just really curious about people from other countries because most Americans don't really have the opportunity to travel internationally. And so they see you're like the ambassador from Indonesia to them. They will see Indonesia through your eyes. And it's really a huge honor for most Americans. And they're excited to meet somebody from a foreign country. I'm so glad that was your experience.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's a good point to start taking questions from the audience as well.
Yeah.
So I think we have a question here in the studio audience.
Hi, I'm Pasha from Mentari Intercultural School, Jakarta. And I just would like to ask regarding the competition in the States. Because regarding the competition, I'd like to get an idea whether international students are actually have more challenging time getting accepted to the universities compared to U.S. citizens, and what is more prioritized in terms of the SATs, extracurriculars, GPA, and essays. Yeah.
That's an excellent question. So
Thank you.
competition and
Right.
tests and the application elements. What do you
Right.
think about that,
I'm
Sandhika?
actually waiting for this question, so thank you. And yes, so when Nadia was sharing her experience, I was so, eager to add mine. So yes, but from my perspective, it's not because I was also an international student back in my days, but as an advisors, I also see a lot of Indonesians think that they don't have the value to bring to the United States universities, which is so wrong. And I'm here to, debunk that myth. Like all of you, each of you have a very important values that you can bring to the US universities, regardless of how minuscule or like how not important you think it is, okay? And you can meet me, bring your draft or your essay, and I can show you that it's important, okay? And the US education system is just so unique in a way we always promote or we always, be the ambassadors to say that US universities have this holistic way of admitting their students. Holistic meaning they are not only going to accept you based on your SAT score or your GPA score, or in Indonesia we call it nilai rata-rata if you are in high schools, okay? They don't have that cutoff, they don't have like a minimum GPA or minimum SAT or ACT or, well, for TOEFL or IELTS, they do put the minimum, but it's because it's the basic of how you will interact and survive in the States using English, right? Which makes sense. So you need to concentrate on what kind of values that you can bring instead of focusing on if my grade is bad, I'm not going to the States. Like never. They will never accept me because my score is this bad and that bad. So you don't want to focus on that area, but instead focus on, okay, I have this experience. I love playing music. I went to this village in my school activities and I learned this and that, right? And I'm not the best in maths, but I survive with my effort and everything else. So that's what you want to bring. And of course, having good grades help, but it's not everything. And that's what we call holistic, okay? So in terms of the competitiveness between international student and local students, each universities have their own discretion on making the ideal environment that Nadira said. They really take into consideration how much international student from which country and everything to ensure you have the best experience and you are in the right place. So we like to call it the best fit. So each of you will have a different fit. Nadira's fit was in Harvard. Your fit could be in anywhere else in the States. So that being said, you need to apply to more universities to see which one is your best fit at the end of the day to increase your opportunity to get accepted to at least one university. Well, I will be very happy, and my goal is to have all of my advices to apply to more and later be confused on which one to choose, right? Because then at the end of the day, you will be able to see it more clearly. Okay, I'm going to A university because of this and that, instead of the B university because of this and that. So yes, in terms of competitiveness level, it varies from school to school. Have your strategy ready. You can discuss it with me or my fellow advisors. Come to us and we'll help you get ready. All right?
Thank you very much. I know in the US, it's also very common for American students to apply to multiple universities, right? They don't just apply to one university. They might apply to 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 because they're trying to find the best fit, right? And what makes sense. So that's common, I think, across the board. Okay, now I understand we have a question in Surabaya. Can we see Surabaya up on the screen? Hello, welcome. Can you introduce yourself and tell us your question?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ambar, and I am an Education USA advisor based in Education USA Surabaya. So my question is about the short program or non-degree programs. We have many professional practitioners as our advisees, and they would like to improve their skill or knowledge with short or non-degree programs and certifications. Is there any helpful tips where to start researching the programs that are also worth the students' investment? Thank you.
Do you have any thoughts about non-degree programs? Perhaps we turn back to our other guests.
Yeah, I would like to think non-degree programs are just shorter, but you will still get a very full experience depending on what you're looking for, right? So non-degree programs is usually shorter than the common, formal degrees like bachelor, master's, or PhD. But if it serves the need that you are looking for, like you're not sure if US is the right place for you or not, then maybe non-formal degree will be the first kind of like, experience that you get. And then later decide whether or not you want a full formal degree in the States. So yes, and you can look for all sorts of non-formal degrees depending on what you're looking for. There's language, there's creative writing, there's even music related, art related, whatever you want, you name it. I always say to my advisees, it is harder to find something that doesn't exist in the States compared to the combination that you come up on your own. There's one day this advisee said, I want to take a dual master degree in business and engineering. And I'm like, oh, have you looked it up? And he said, no, but I just want that combination. And I go help this advisee search, right? And I found a few of them exist in the States. And since then, I'm like, okay, it's harder to find something that doesn't exist in the States compared to what is actually there. And sometimes we have to get out of the box to think that if what you're looking for is not like the exact same name, sometimes they use different terms. You can double check with the admission officer, with the program officer, if this is what you're looking for. And sometimes you can tell them, I'm looking for this. Do you have it? And they will help you tailor what you need. Okay, and that is the beauty of the US higher education system. They are very flexible and holistic. So most of them actually welcome interdisciplinaries, and including in MPH, where if we talk about master in public health, it's very specific, right? People think that you need to have you need to be a medical doctor to get into MPH. In reality, a lot of my advisee was not a medical doctor like Nadira, but they can get into MPH program too. Right, Nadira?
So it's actually only 10% of my batch who is a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was very interesting.
most of them from public policy and like law and journalists and yeah, so many diverse occupational background before.
You will be shocked. Regardless of you are going for the master or PhD or even the bachelor, you will see a lot of differences that you can learn from, the good, the bad, and the lesson learned. Everything is just, it's like a melting pot. We like to call the United States a melting pot in terms of the culture, the experience that's brought by so many people from different countries. So that is why it's a life-changing experience for me and Nadira. And I can vouch for a lot of my advisees who's currently there and maybe already back in Indonesia and maybe want to go there. Okay, so that's for me.
Great. Talking about the strange combinations you can have in the United States, I did marine biology with art.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Like you can pretty much find a way to do almost anything you want.
Yeah.
I think we have another question here in the studio audience.
Afternoon. My name is Norbert Raditya from Confucius College High School. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for inviting me and my friends. And although I can't speak for everybody, I feel like this event has been totally insightful and also enjoyable for all of us. So on this occasion, I'd like to ask about the challenges that might come up when we study in the US. Things like fitting in with some of the local cultures, local communities, and even the university's communities itself, and how we can create a long-lasting people-to-people relationship between not only students, but also the local communities. Thank you.
Wonderful question. Thank you. So thoughts about? Yeah, go ahead, Nadira.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. Yeah, so for the first one, I think you asked about the how to immerse to the local culture and everything about that. So actually, when I was in Harvard, they have different kind of student organizations. For me, I have the Southeast Asia organizations, and they have the African organization, and then they have American organizations, and they are open to any people coming from different countries. So if you want to to be in the Southeast Asia organizations, you don't have to come from the Southeast Asia. So you can just go wherever you want. And like what's exciting also, like the Harvard, I think almost every school they have like many events that actually the purpose of the event is like to enable you to network with other people. They have a lot of like lunch talk and they like some kind of the welcoming party and anything that you can just join, and then you can have many networks from there. The thing about master's degree is not about the grade that you get in the class. It's not about like only learning academic, but also how to enrich your networks so that it would be useful for your career after graduating from the university. And then you asked about the, what is it again that you asked after that? Maintaining the
Challenges?
network. Yeah. The challenges, I think the challenges is that sometimes for me, it's just, I know that I can go well in the class in terms of like the academic English, but it's so much different when you're just socializing. You don't know like the internal jokes, like some kind of jokes that American do, and like the culture. They value a lot the American football, and we don't really get used to that in Indonesia. So it's new to me, and I think the challenge about catching up about the program itself. Because I'm a medical doctor, but in public health, we have to learn about the economics, biostatistics, and that's challenging for me personally. And how to maintain the network, I think I still keep the network with my colleagues and also my professors. Just make sure that maybe you have some kind of project that you did together in the school so that you can have like personal relationship with them. And also just make sure that you exchange numbers, of course, and that like grade them every year and something like that. I think it's a lot easier for me to maintain the network with Americans because they grade me a lot during like Idul Fitri, Idul Adha. They are very kind to me, so that it's not that difficult to maintain the network. Actually, just make sure that you did any project together during the school. Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I add? Because one thing, since I'm new to Indonesia, I should just say that the level of English ability in this room is really mind-blowing to me. You guys really speak such great English, and I'm sure it was true, Nadira, that you weren't always sure about the football jokes, for example, but for English is the key to all of those social networks. I have no doubt that you'll be able to integrate and make friends, and also have other opportunities in the community outside the university. There are in U.S. cities, there are all kinds of diaspora communities, maybe other Indonesians who might be in the city who'd be very interested in meeting Indonesian students. And then the one thing that I would just say, if it makes you feel confident, Norbert, is that I would meet with students coming back. In the last few tours that I've had, I would always meet with students coming back from having studied in the United States. And every single one of them had made lifelong friends. By the time I got to meet them, their American friends had already flown over to visit them in their home country. It's just, that's one thing about university in the United States, is that's where people really do make their lifelong friends. And I know that it is very common for Americans to certainly have amongst their strong circle international students as well. So those are the people-to-people ties, just by being there and maintaining those friendships as you would naturally do. That is so important to us, and I know it's important to you all as well.
Sandika, did you have other thoughts on this?
Yeah, of course. And you know, when you ask about the challenge, and I'm like, you had one of the challenges down already because you have been speaking such a good English. So there you go. One challenge down, right? Just keep improving on your English, not only on a daily basis. So English is, I always tell my advice is that English is a language. It's not, mathematics formula that you memorize. So you need to practice them on a daily basis in order for them to be more natural, right? you understanding what we have been talking about, and then you can speak up asking questions. That's a good preparation for you to be in the United States, any universities in the States, basically, because it really values class discussion. And if you don't understand the jokes, like me and Nadira, we can just ask, "Oh, what's that about?" And they will be very happy to explain things to you. And in return, you can exchange the jokes that you usually have in Indonesia. Things that they probably are very curious about Bali, let's say, or batik, or our Independence Day, or if 17 Agustusan we have this a lot of games, and when they watch the video they don't understand why we are doing that. And you can tell them that this is the way we make the games and everything. It's traditional, it's this, it's that, and they will find it very entertaining and fun to learn. And likewise, we also find the delight in learning different things. Like I learn about football, I learn a lot of things. Like I just know that the culture is so different when I went to 7-Eleven, and they're like asking me, "How's your day?" when I was trying to pay my food or snacks there. And I'm like, "Oh, great." And since then, I know that in America, everyone is trying to be friendly. So when you're in the bus stop waiting for your bus and it's late and you look really worried, some of them can ask you like, "Are you okay? Do you need any help?" So that is one of the culture that I really appreciate in the United States. And that is why I'm promoting US education very, in high regards, because you will see that it's a different world, and learning different things and bringing what you have is enough there. So just make sure you are ready with the application. I know it's tough to prepare. It's a challenge, but at the end of the day, it will be worth it. If you have any questions, confusion, concerns, come to us. If you need English talking partner, I'm not native, but you can come in and we can talk. If you need TOEFL IBD or IELTS prep, we had it before. You can rewatch them. And in the future, if we make a fresh batch, you can come in and join us. All right?
Thank you. And something that you've reminded me is on my first day of college, I didn't know anyone, right? I went to college far away from home. And so I think almost all students are in the same boat in that way, right? Everybody shows up on the first day. Nobody knows anyone else. So that's the same for international students and American students. So it's a similar challenge, but it's a similar opportunity as well to start building your networks that way. Okay, so now we have a question from Universitas Muhammadiyah in Malang. Can you tell us your name and your question, please?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, hello, my name is Muhammad Febrianor from American Corner UMM. So I have a question. Maybe after the school or the program is concluded, how do we sustain the collaboration between Indonesian and US institutions? Maybe that's the question. Thank you.
How do we do what with the collaboration?
How do we sustain the collaboration between US and Indonesian institutions?
Oh, between the institutions. How do we help with the collaboration between US and Indonesian institutions?
Maybe the previous question is about the person, like building a network. So I want to ask, how about the collaboration between the institutions?
Okay. I have some information about that, but perhaps
No, I think
Nadira?
what he meant is just how to stay collaborating between him and the US students when we go back to Indonesia.
Have you had an opportunity to continue to collaborate since you've been back?
Yeah, fortunately, I had a lot of projects that's still going on. Although I actually have been graduated from Harvard, and also right now I'm joining YZLE. If you're familiar with that, it's also one of the opportunity for you to collaborate with many people around the world, mostly from Southeast Asia, but also some people from US as well. So actually, there are a lot other programs that can enable you to network with US citizens, although you're not in the US school anymore. Yeah.
All right.
Sandika?
From my end, I had advisees who, keep having research collaboration or any project collaboration with their past professors in the States. So that is one thing that you can keep in mind. But if you are an undergraduate student, and it really depends on your goal. If your goal is to study in the States and then come back or gain some, experience in the optional practical training, you can get very good work experience and then come back in Indonesia. And don't worry, you will not lose any of your friends as long as, you keep in touch with them, as simple as that. And we also have alumni association, depending on which school you are going. So I know Harvard have alumni association here in Indonesia. Plenty of schools have that here because guess what? A lot of Indonesian students went there and then come back and then they created that. If you are the first student to go to that US university, come back and make one, okay? And we have Permias. I forgot to mention that Permias is it's a group of Indonesian students who are studying in the States, and they are so extensive and active these days that you can even find the alumni or the current students. If you're going and you're worried about the environment, you can contact them and then ask them questions. Hey, I'm going there for fall 2022. I'm confused about where to live. Do you have any suggestion and can connect me with the current students? Or if you have difficulties in deciding which school to go, you want to talk with the alumni, go ahead and ask that question. And if you guys, cannot find any, you can try Education USA. I can try to look up from our database and try to connect you whenever possible. So that's how you keep in touch. It is basically a lot of places that you can keep in touch with. So if you go to a club, like what Nadira said, club organizations in your campus, on your campus when you're there, then you probably will, get to know a few people at least, right? That's how you can get more new friends and everything. And when you graduated, don't be shocked. You're in Indonesia, but your friend who was studying in the same class as you or in the same club as you back then in your university days are traveling to Jakarta, and they're like Korean or something, and then they're like contacting you, hey, I'm in Indonesia, So yes, you will be able to get a lot of friends from different countries because international students are really welcomed in US universities. So not only you will have friends, local friends in America, but high chance you will get friends from other countries as well. Okay, so we have a lot of Indonesian communities too. If you're like, you need more time to get out of your shell to get to know different people from different countries, then you can come to the Indonesian community first and then slowly open up and you will do fine. Okay.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, I would like to echo what you said about the alumni associations here. So when I first arrived, I just decided, I did a search on Instagram for Indiana University, which is where I went to college, right? And there's a whole Indiana University Alumni Association here with hundreds of members. And I got in touch with the president of the association. And I actually, just a few months ago, once the COVID restrictions were lower, I hosted a party for alumni to get to know some of the other alumni here from my university. It was pretty easy to find that information. All I did was an Instagram search. I think we have time for one more question from here within the studio.
Hello, my name is Nadra from Mentari School, Jakarta, and the question that we wanted to ask was, we understand that the USA highly values a very well-rounded profile, and currently as high schoolers taking the IB diploma, we want to know how important is it that we pick subjects that are related to the majors we want to take in uni, and additionally, the importance of our extracurriculars. For example, I plan on majoring in economics, however, I also take music extracurriculars, and I would like to continue pursuing that even in college and university. However, I do not want to make it a major. So how what are the best ways that we can build our personal student profiles?
That's an excellent question. Yeah,
Yeah.
back over to Sandika.
That's a good one actually. But here's the thing: it really depends on the school again, the school that you're applying to. If they can let you be undecided, then they won't have like kind of a requirements on what are the classes that you need to take, right? But if you are choosing certain program, like you said, economics, am I right? Okay, economics, then they probably will see if you have ever got economics class or business class or anything related to that. But again, like I said, it's holistic. They will not demand you to have certain classes ready, or you have learned those things and then you can get admitted. So it's not like that. It's all down to the requirements. You just need to follow the requirements and you'll do fine. Just give your best application, meaning the best score that you can get, the best experience that you can get in your high school, according to what you want. So if you love music, do your music, and then put it there. Put it in your CV, put it in your Common App, okay? And if you have awards from your music activities, put it there. If not, then that's fine. Whatever you have, that's the best. Put it there and let them know. So that is your best chance to get to the university that you want. And again, more universities, the better. And Common App is allowing you to do that, basically. So come to us. There's no such thing as like a golden formula, if you understand what I mean. Like, okay, if I take class A, B, and C, and then I went to this club or extracurricular activities, then I am guaranteed to be accepted in these universities in the States. There's no such things, unfortunately. So yes, show your unique aspects. Do your best in each of the requirements, including the essay, because that's the only one that you can tailor. You cannot do much in your report card, obviously, and your CV or resume. So if you are still in grade 11 or 10, the best time for you to pick and choose, what I want to do outside of the classroom. Something is better than nothing, so you don't have to like, oh, but I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Just do what you can outside of the classroom, and that will count, okay? That's your best chance. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, any final thoughts, Assistant Secretary, on studying in the United States?
I think this was a really interesting and helpful panel. I hope it was interesting for all of you. I think I heard a lot of sort of similar themed questions about fitting in and how to make the most of your time in the United States. And I think the one thing that comes to mind for me, and I hope that Nadir and Sandika agree with me. I bet you will, Rachel. The one of the real benefits to having such a complicated application process to studying in the United States is that schools really do assemble a class of students to fit together. They're always looking to make sure that they have a good mix, and Nadir talked a little bit about this, a good balance of different points of view and different experiences and interests. And because of that, there is not going to be anyone that is not going to be completely invested in your success. Your teachers are going to want you to succeed. The university is going to want you to succeed. Your classmates are going to want you to succeed because your success is everybody else's success too. And I think that also really extends certainly to your friends here at America and the Education USA counselors. Everybody wants you to succeed. We all believe strongly in the value of this education and the way that it can change your life, and for us, the way that it can enhance our bilateral relationship. So we all want you to succeed as well. So no need to be super nervous about it. Just look for what's right for you and take advantage of all of the opportunities that are here for you. So thank you so much for your time today. Thanks to you, Rachel, also, and to you guys for inviting me to join you.
Thank you for joining us. Thanks to everyone. And thank you for your questions, your interest in this subject. And we look forward to continuing to work with you to help you find the right fit for you in the universities in the U.S. Thank you. Now I think we're going to do a photo.